Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're taking a truly monumental journey into the heart of Rameswaram, which is this fascinating island just off the coast of Tamil Nadu, India. We are going to explore a site where ancient mythology, absolutely mind-bending architectural engineering, and centuries of fierce human devotion all collide. I'm talking, of course, about the Sri Ramanathaswamy Temple. Whether you're a major history buff, an architecture nerd, or just someone fascinated by deep spiritual traditions, this explainer is going to show you exactly how a tiny island became the epicenter for one of the most awe-inspiring structures on the planet. So, to really understand this temple, we've got to start with a question that honestly might seem kind of counterintuitive. Why did Lord Rama, who is literally an avatar of the supreme preserver god Vishnu, need to be forgiven for a sin? Well, you see, after the epic battle of the Ramayana, where Rama defeated the demon king Ravana in Sri Lanka, he returned carrying a massive spiritual burden. Even though he was a demon, Ravana was actually the great-grandson of Brahma. He was a Brahmin. So, by killing him, Lord Rama committed what's known as the Brahmahatya sin. He urgently needed to purify himself, right? And to do that, he had to offer prayers to Lord Shiva. But there was a major problem. There was absolutely no Shiva temple on the island where he landed. Section 1. The Epic Mythological Origins. The Birth of the Jyotirlinga. Now, to truly grasp the significance of this site, you have to know that Rameswaram is one of the 12 highly sacred Jyotirlingas. These are places where ancient texts say Lord Shiva manifested as an endless, towering pillar of divine light. Because there wasn't a shrine here when Rama arrived, he sent his most devoted follower, Lord Hanuman, all the way to Mount Kailash to fetch a lingam. But Hanuman was taking a bit too long, and the incredibly specific, auspicious astrological time for the prayer was slipping away. So Rama's wife, Mother Sita, just gathered sand right there from the beach and molded it into a lingam herself. That is the Ramalingam. When Hanuman finally returned with the Vishvalingam from the Himalayas, he was absolutely crushed to see he was too late. But Rama, in his infinite nobility, made a decree. He said that from that day forward, Hanuman's Vishvalingam must always be worshipped first. And incredibly, both of these sacred lingams are still worshipped in the temple today in that exact order. Section 2. The Builders and the Architecture, from Thatched Hut to Stone Behemoth. You'd probably assume an incredibly sacred site like this was always a colossal stone structure, right? Well, historical records show that right up until the 12th century, it was actually housed inside a very simple, humble thatched hut. Its evolution into what it is today was basically a massive, centuries-long relay race across different dynasties. In the 12th century, King Parkamabahu I of Sri Lanka started some of the early masonry work. But the true masterminds, the ones who turned this site into an absolute behemoth, were the Setupati dynasty of the Ramnad kingdom. From Raja Setupati building the towering East Gopuram in the 1600s, to Vijaya Raghunatha laying the groundwork for those famous corridors, and then finally Mutharmalinga Setupati completing the third corridor in 1769. These rulers were so devoted that during their coronations, they would literally donate entire villages just to fund the temple's maintenance. Talk about dedication. Just think about the staggering logistical effort required here for a second. Rameswaram is an island surrounded by the sea. They didn't exactly have massive stone quarries next door. To build these towering structures, the Setupatis dispatched stonecutters to the mountainous regions of Sri Lanka. They carved the massive stones over there and then transported them across the ocean via the Panman Canal to the island. It was an absolute marvel of 17th century logistics and sheer human willpower. Section 3. World's Longest Temple Corridor, a masterpiece of Dravidian architecture. The scale of this architectural masterpiece is genuinely difficult to comprehend until you look at the raw numbers. 1,212. That is the exact number of pillars lining just the outer third corridor of the temple. And we are not talking about small support beams here. Every single one of these pillars is a staggering 30 feet tall from the floor to the roof. The outer passageway itself extends for about 120 meters east to west and nearly 195 meters north to south. It's widely reputed to be the longest set of temple corridors in the entire world. But what's truly unbelievable here is the precision of those 1,212 pillars. If you stand at one end of this brilliantly painted corridor and look all the way down to the other end, the beautifully carved pillars perfectly converge into a single tiny dot in your line of sight. It's like a real-life optical illusion. And here's the kicker. Almost every single pillar is carved with individual, unique compositions. No two are exactly alike. It's a mesmerizing spiritual tunnel that showcases ancient Indian engineering at its absolute finest. Section 4. The Ritual of Water. 22 Sacred Wells of Purification. This temple isn't just a static museum of architecture. It is a vibrant, living, breathing center of active purification. For thousands of devotees, every single day, the journey actually begins in pitch-black darkness, right at 4 a.m., following a very specific spatial sequence. Step 1. Devotees walk right into the calm, shallow ocean waters of the Bay of Bengal, known as the Agni Theorem, right at the temple's doorstep, to take their first holy dip. Then, step 2, they enter the temple and navigate to 22 separate sacred wells, or kunds, scattered across the premises, where temple assistants literally pour buckets of water over them. Only after completing this freezing, physically demanding cleanse do they move on to step 3, the ultimate darshan, or viewing, of the sacred Ramalingam and Vishwalingam. Out of the 64 total water bodies around the island, the 22 inside the temple are nothing short of miraculous. Each well is tied to a specific story from the Ramayana, but physically speaking, they are wild. Each well has a completely distinct taste, some sweet, some soft, but surprisingly, they are never salty, despite literally being on an island. Their temperatures vary from well to well too, and most astonishingly, recent scientific studies have shown that these waters have absolutely zero bacterial content, even with thousands of wet pilgrims bathing in them every single day. Section 5. The Inner Sanctum. The Ultimate Spiritual Journey. So after navigating the world's longest corridors, passing by 108 Shiva lingas, and surviving the freezing jolt of the 22 well baths, the pilgrim finally approaches the spiritual core of the temple, the inner sanctum. For those who manage to arrive early enough, there is a breathtaking sensory experience waiting for them, the Spatik Mani. This is a pure crystal lingam that was gifted by the Shankaracharya. Every morning, strictly between 4:30 a.m. and 5:30 a.m., there's a special darshan. Set against the dark, partially lit backdrop of the inner sanctum, this crystal lingam is revealed, glowing this transfixing celestial white. It's a deeply magnetic vision that completely rewards the earliest and most devoted pilgrims. What makes this all so profound is this concept of the dual divine connection. In Hinduism, you have two major traditions, Shaivism, which reveres Shiva, and Vaishnavism, which reveres Vishnu. Rameswaram, which literally translates to Lord of Rama, is the only Jyotirlinga where an avatar of Vishnu actively worshipped Shiva. This site beautifully and incredibly rarely unites these two massive spiritual traditions under one single, intricately painted roof. I actually want to share a quick reflection from a pilgrim who documented their journey here. They wrote, "I ask for Father's blessings to help me dissolve the impurities of my fickle mind in the fire of his intrinsic ocean of love." Just think about the profound emotional weight of that for a second. Standing there, dripping wet in the early morning hours, thousands of miles from home, participating in a ritual that has been repeated by millions of people over thousands of years. It truly is the ultimate feeling of spiritual cleansing. And that brings us to the end of our explainer. We've seen how a simple, desperate act, Mother Sita literally molding a lingam out of beach sand, echoed through time. It inspired Sri Lankan kings, Ramnad dynasts, and countless stonecutters to bridge oceans and build a 1,012-pillar architectural behemoth that completely defies time. It's an unbelievable testament to what human devotion can physically create in the real world. So I'll leave you with this final thought. If a handful of sand can inspire millennia of devotion, what kind of legacy will you build? Thanks so much for exploring with us.